Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. So goes Assassin's Creed's retelling of history. Hi, I'm Sydney with The Leaderboard, and today we're going through the main timeline of the Assassin's Creed franchise, from the era of the Isu to the creation of the Assassin Brotherhood and the modern-day Templar Wars. Be warned, using these facts in your history paper may result in an F. The creation of the human race, approximately 75,101 BCE or 2195 Isu era. Before there were humans, there were the Isu. Members of the first civilization, the Isu were also known as the precursors, or simply as those who came before. This ancient race of highly advanced beings was better than humans in every way. They possessed superior intelligence, 6 primary senses, and to top it off, a triple helix DNA structure. My high school biology class didn't quite cover how this compares to our measly double helix DNA, but we at least know that they lived a long time. During this period, the Isu bred a slave race known as Homo sapiens. That's us. They were fashioned in the image of the Isu and bred to be as obedient and resilient as cattle. Their words, not mine. In order to keep the human race in their power, the Isu used various technologies known to us as pieces of Eden. Some pieces, such as the apples and the staves, were used as mind control devices, with the ability to tap into a human's brain through a network of neurotransmitters, ensuring total obedience. Other pieces, such as the swords of Eden, grant charisma and leadership to its wielder, as well as a host of energy-blasting powers, while the shrouds of Eden are capable of extraordinary restoration and healing. However, there seemed to be a little problem in the lab, as some humans were born without these neurotransmitters, consequently making them immune to the piece's mind control capabilities. These humans were known as human Isu hybrids. The War in the Garden of Eden, 75,010 BCE or 2,296 Isu era. It turned out that those neurotransmitters were pretty important, because far from being docile cattle, the human race were an aggressive bunch that did not take well to the whole enslavement thing. And sometime in 75,010 BCE, 2 human Isu hybrids named Adam and Eve, you know the ones, led the humans in a rebellion against the Isu to fight for humanity's free will. Together, they stole one of the apples of Eden, and thus began the human Isu War. But only after a decade of fighting, the 2 races were forced to come to a halt. The Isu had known of an impending calamity that was to come, and 3 Isu scientists, Juno, Jupiter, and Minerva, had joined forces to stay out of the war and form the Capitoline Triad, with its sole purpose being the prevention of their civilization's destruction. Together, they experimented and tested a number of solutions, with the most promising results being the construction of underground temples, or vaults, spread across the globe. The Great Catastrophe, 75,000 BCE, or 2,306 Isu era. Fast forward 10 years later to the Great Catastrophe, also known as the Toba Catastrophe, or the First Disaster. The Earth was hit with a coronal mass ejection, an eruption of plasma from the sun's outermost layer that saw the near total extinction of both humans and Isu. In 75,000 BCE, the solar flare that hit the Earth flipped its magnetic field and exposed the planet to the sun's deadly radiation, essentially burning the planet and causing untold catastrophic destruction. Those that did survive returned to a barren planet, and the Isu, already fewer in numbers than the humans, were on the brink of extinction. Together, both the Isu and humans worked to rebuild the planet. The Capitoline Triad, seeking to prevent this tragedy from ever happening again, constructed the Eye, a planetary shield device that could be used in the future to deflect the next solar flare. Unfortunately, one of the scientists, Juno, had other plans for the human race. Juno was what one would call an Isu supremacist. She wished to eliminate the human race for daring to rise up against the Isu. Juno had no intention of saving the human race, but instead planned to rule over them after the next disaster. Discovering her plan, Minerva and Jupiter imprisoned Juno into the Gray, a kind of limbo or afterlife realm for the Isu. They then built a second eye to relay their warnings to the future human race. The Peloponnesian War, Ancient Greece, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, 431 to 404 BCE. Over 50,000 years have gone by, and the Isu have all but passed on into myth. The year is 431 BC, at the start of the Peloponnesian War. For those of you that have played any of the God of War series, you'll be familiar with the long-standing battle between Athens and Sparta. We follow in the footsteps of Mercenary and descendant of Leonidas, who have come into contact with some of the Isu artifacts. Leonidas is one of the human Isu hybrids, and his spear has been linked back to the first civilization. Ptolemaic Egypt, Assassin's Creed Origins, 330 BCE, 100 years after the Peloponnesian War. Alexander the Great has come to invade Egypt and start what would be known as the Ptolemaic dynasty. The dynasty begins with Ptolemy I, a Greek general and companion of Alexander the Great, and ending with Ptolemy XIII. In 51 BCE, Ptolemy XIII co-ruled Egypt with his older sister and wife, Cleopatra, because that's how things were done back then. Cleopatra was infinitely more popular than her brother, and by 48 BCE, Ptolemy had her deposed, sending Egypt into civil war. During this tumultuous era lived Bayek and Magi, a member of the elite paramilitary police force in Egypt. Together with his wife, Aya, they protect the people from civil unrest caused by two opposing rulers. In 49 BCE, Bayek is charged with protecting the Siwa Oasis, a village that houses the Temple Amun. While on patrol with his son, Bayek gets abducted by masked men and brought to the Temple of Amun. Unbeknownst to him, the temple is a vault of the first civilization, and the orb that the men carry, an apple of Eden. In the ensuing scuffle, Bayek manages to escape but accidentally stabs his son, killing him. Vowing revenge, Bayek and Aya uncover the identities of all of the men and kill them one by one. With only the final target left to kill, their journey brings them to Cleopatra herself. It turns out that she was ousted by the same band of masked men who call themselves the Order of Ancients and seek to control all of Egypt, using Ptolemy as their puppet. Swearing fealty to Cleopatra, Bayek and Aya depose of the remaining order members. But after going through all that trouble, they find that Cleopatra has aligned herself with the invading Roman Julius Caesar, as well as the Order of Ancients. With the Order in power, their goals of controlling the human race by activating the orb and staff found in the tomb of Alexander the Great could now come to pass. Gathering people sympathetic to their cause, Bayek and Aya form the makings of the first assassin brotherhood to counter the order and defend the free will of the people. The pair parts ways, but takes with them the foundation of the brotherhood, vowing to always protect the world from the shadows. The Third Crusade, Assassin's Creed 1, 1190 to 1191 AD. We arrive at the Third Crusade over a millennium later in 1190 AD. In the Holy Lands of Jerusalem, the Assassin Brotherhood is still at war with the Order of the Ancients, now known as the Templar Order. The Brotherhood has grown in the last millennia, but their mission remains the same, to preserve the freedom of the people. Here, we meet Altair ibn La'ahad, master assassin of the Levantine Brotherhood of Assassins. He's been tasked with obtaining an ancient artifact with the ability to control minds, now in the hands of the Templars. Sound familiar? That's because it's the Apple of Eden from the time of the Isu. Unfortunately, during his mission, he encounters Robert de Sableux, Grand Master of the Knights Templar. Bad decisions are made, and even though they are able to bring the apple back to the Brotherhood, it results in the death and serious injury of his fellow assassins. Demoted in the ranks of the Brotherhood by his mentor, Al-Mu'alim, Altair must redeem himself by helping to kill a list of people in the city. Well, it's not called the Assassin's Guild for nothing. Each name that he checks off leads him deeper and deeper into the Templars' plot to completely take over the Holy Land. With Robert, Grand Master of the Templars, as his last kill, Altair finally learns the truth about his mentor, Al-Mu'alim. A member of the Templar Order, Al-Mu'alim had used Altair to get rid of the other Order members to keep the Apple of Eden for himself. Confronting his former mentor, Altair swiftly takes care of the treacherous Al-Mu'alim, and in his attempt to destroy the apple, activates it to uncover the location of all the other pieces of Eden spread across the world. The Italian Renaissance, Assassin's Creed 2, 1476 to 1499 AD. We move a couple of centuries ahead to the mid-14th century, at the start of the Italian Renaissance. Italy is undergoing a period of great cultural change, and the country stands at the forefront of many modern-day artistic, scientific, and philosophical discoveries. It's here that a young Ezio Auditore da Firenze, bloodline of the late Altair ibn La'ahad, is born. Fast forward a couple of years to 1476 AD. Ezio, now a budding youth, has just witnessed the death of his father and brothers in an act of treason against a corrupt magistrate. With his last words, his father instructs him to uncover the family's secrets and his assassin heritage. Vowing to revenge his family, Ezio trains as an assassin and tracks down the men responsible. The man, Rodrigo Borgia, head of the Italian Rite of the Templar Order, has amassed considerable power in Europe, even rising to the position of Pope and head of the Catholic Church. If that wasn't considerable power enough, he has in his possession an Apple of Eden, as well as the papal staff, which is a Staff of Eden. Armed with both pieces, he plans to unlock one of the vaults of the Isu, where he believes great power lies. It's the turn of the century when Ezio eventually tracks down and literally beats up Rodrigo in battle. But for some reason, Ezio forgets he's an assassin, because instead of killing Rodrigo, he takes the apple and the Staff of Eden and sets him free. With the pieces now in his possession, he's able to open the vault in Vatican City, where he encounters the Isu Minerva, preserved in the eye. She tells him of the great catastrophe that almost wiped out the planet and forewarns him and a certain future assassin of the incoming doom. The Italian Renaissance, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, 1499 to 1507 AD. Confused, and probably a little freaked out by what he saw, Ezio returns home to hopefully live a quiet life far away from conflict. But unfortunately, his decision to go head-to-head with the Borgia family comes back to bite him in the butt when his home is attacked by Cesare Borgia, son of Rodrigo. Cesare murders his uncle and steals back the Apple of Eden, leading Ezio to swear vengeance on the Borgia family once again. The Assassin Brotherhood in this era was a shadow of its former glory, and after years of painstaking work, Ezio rebuilds and becomes the mentore of the Italian Brotherhood of Assassins, liberating the people from the hold of the Borgias. After several years, in 1507 AD, the Brotherhood tracked down and retrieved the Apple of Eden from Cesare, who in his lust for power had murdered his own father. Standing atop the battlements, Ezio, in an extremely baller move, drops Cesare off to see if fate will spare him. Spoilers, it did not. Not intending to use the apple for himself, Ezio hides it away in an Isu vault underneath the Roman Colosseum. The Italian Renaissance, Assassin's Creed Revelations, 1511 to 1512 AD. 4 years have passed. It's 1511 AD, and Ezio is traveling back to the former assassin's fortress in Masyaf. He's looking to discover the secret library of its mentor, Altair, and the true purpose of the Assassin Brotherhood. At the Masyaf temple, Ezio finds that the library is locked and is tasked with searching for its 5 keys. On his journey, he encounters the Templars, who are also hot on the trail for the keys, thus invoking the ancient game of treasure hunt. In the end, our boy outsmarts them and opens the library to find Altair's skeleton and the Apple of Eden. Oh, wait a second. We seem to have desynced with the Animus. Can we get someone on that? While we're resolving our technical difficulties, take a minute to go over to leaderboard.nyc/email to sign up for our mailing list. Oh, are we good? We're good. Okay. Colonial era, Caribbean, Assassin's Creed IV, Black Flag, 1715 to 1722 AD. Just a few centuries later, after the Italian Renaissance, the bloodline of Altair have traded their white robes for black flags in the form of Captain Edward Kenway, the most notorious pirate of this time, who, for some reason, has no idea of the Assassin Brotherhood or his connection to them. Around 1715 AD, Captain Edward finds himself stranded on a deserted island with a man named Duncan Walpole after an attack on his ship. Unbeknownst to him, Duncan is a member of the Assassins, and after killing him, he discovered among his possessions some easy bounty, their layer reward for the map he was carrying. So, seeing it as an easy trade, Edward went in Duncan's place to collect. Along his journey, he learns of the existence of the Templar Order and discovers that they are searching for an ancient site of the Isu, known as the Observatory, which has the power to locate any person on Earth with a sample of their blood. Legend has it, however, that the blood of a sage is required to enter the observatory. With not as much effort as you would think, Edward tracks down the sage Bartholomew Roberts, and together they discover the location of the observatory and retrieve the artifact. Now, it wouldn't be Assassin's Creed without a little betrayal, and in the last moments, the sage turns on Edward and gets him thrown into prison for piracy. As luck would have it, Edward is freed by the mentor of the assassins, Tabai, and he joins their cause to eliminate Roberts and the Templars. Edward, now aligned with the assassins, returns to the observatory to seal it away for good. With his mission done, he travels back to England with his daughter, Jennifer Scott, where he promises to uphold the Assassin's Creed forevermore. The American Revolution, Assassin's Creed Rogue, 1752 to 1776 AD. Set in the midst of the 1750s revolution that would eventually culminate in the formation of the United States of America, a young and brash Irishman kills the already dying Templar commander, Lawrence Washington. Racked with guilt, the assassin, Shay Patrick Cormac, begins to question the motives of the Assassin Brotherhood. With his convictions already weak, they're pushed to the breaking when Shay is tasked with obtaining a piece of Eden in Lisbon. His attempt causes the piece to accidentally trigger an earthquake, destroying the city and claiming thousands of innocent lives. Shay, unwilling to let the assassins destroy another city, returns to the homestead and attempts to confront the Brotherhood alone. This was a terrible plan, because in the end, after being grossly outnumbered, he's shot and falls off a cliff. With the luck of the Irish, Shay survives and moves to the gang-infested streets of New York in 1756 AD. Working to help the general populace face down the might of the criminal underworld, Shay attracts the attention of Colonel George Monroe, a Templar. Upon learning that the assassins are still after the pieces of Eden, despite the collateral damage that was caused previously, he joins the Templars to stop them. After proving his chops with a string of killings, Shay is inducted into the order by none other than the Grand Master Hytham Kenway, son of the late Edward Kenway. On his command, Shay decimates most of what is left of the Assassin Brotherhood and hunts down the pieces of Eden. Eventually, in 1776 AD, his search takes him to Paris, where he meets Charles Dorian, French assassin and father of Arnaud Dorian. Shay murders Dorian and obtains the piece of Eden, sealing his success as a senior member of the Templar Order. The American Revolution, Assassin's Creed 3, 1754 to 1783 AD. There's a bit of overlapping time streams at this point, so we'll back it up a couple of years to 1755 AD. This is the birth year of Radon Hakedong, also known by the adopted name of Connor Kenway, son of Hytham Kenway and grandson of Edward Kenway. Radon Hakedong was fathered while Hytham was in the American colonies, searching for the Grand Temple that was actually hidden in his mother's village. When he grows up, he's tasked by their village elder to train as an assassin in order to protect the temple. Over the following years, Radon Hakedong kills several Templars and aids in the Revolutionary War between the Patriots and the British. In 1776 AD, he eventually meets his father, and while they're both on opposite ends of the war, he hopes to work together with him to give the people freedom. However, Hytham, being a Templar, believes that freedom will inevitably lead to chaos and is set on replacing George Washington with a Templar. Citing irreconcilable differences, Radon Hakedong kills his father and the last of the colonial Templars and retrieves the key to the Isu Temple. He later returns back to his village to find it abandoned. The only thing left behind by his people was a crystal ball that Connor activates to commune with the Isu, Juno. She tells him he must hide the key to the temple, where no one can find it. Burying the key to the temple, Connor sails to New York. French Revolution, Assassin's Creed Unity, 1776 to 1800 AD. Versailles, 1776 AD. Vive la Révolution! While the country is rioting against the monarchy, an orphaned Arnaud Dorian is falling in love with a young Elise de la Serre, daughter of the Templar Grand Master and his adopted father. Oblivious to his father's heritage as an assassin, Arnaud grows up safe in the bosom of the order for the next 13 years. On the night of his beloved Elise's initiation into the Templar Order, Arnaud discovers the body of the murdered Grand Master. Having been set up to take the fall, he's accused of killing the Grand Master and is subsequently thrown into prison. There, he has the good fortune of meeting Pierre Belec, an assassin. During this pivotal time in French history, the storming of the Bastille in 1789 AD, Arnaud and Pierre break free of captivity. Vowing to find out who had him framed for the de la Serre murder, Arnaud joins Pierre as an assassin. During his investigation, he meets a silversmith named Francois Thomas Germain, a man that claimed to be held hostage by the Templars. Francois, however, is not who he claims to be, as he was not only the one responsible for the de la Serre murder, but is also the sage Bartholomew Roberts, reincarnated. The sage, not having the decency to stay dead, is back this time to lead the French in rebellion against the monarchy, as well as take over the Templar Order. In order to fight him, Arnaud meets with his old sweetheart, Elise, and convinces her to parley with the Brotherhood to stop the sage. The unity in Assassin's Creed Unity is short-lived, however, because as soon as the mentor of the Assassin Brotherhood agrees, your old buddy Pierre, in some sort of fit of jealousy and moral rage, murders his mentor for even considering joining forces with the Templar Order. Everything pretty much disintegrates at this point, and Arnaud, after killing Belec, runs away with Elise in a hot air balloon. This is truly a Romeo and Juliet story, if instead of killing themselves, they killed other people. But fairy tale endings have no place during the Revolution, and by 1794 AD, after a failed attempt and a few months of liquor-infused depression, Arnaud manages to kill the sage Francois at the cost of Elise. Battling beneath the temple in Paris, Francois manages to kill Elise before Arnaud can get to him. His consolation prize for the death of the love of his life is an apple of Eden hidden in the temple. Realizing the dangers that the apple could cause if it got into the wrong hands, Arnaud sends the apple to Al-Mualim, the mentor of the Egyptian Brotherhood of Assassins in Cairo. Yes, there are two people named Al-Mualim that both happen to be assassins in the story. It's confusing. Victorian era Assassin's Creed Syndicate, 1868 AD. In foggy London Rosen town, 1868 AD, the Assassin Brotherhood has all but fallen, and the city is under the rule of Templar Grand Master Crawford Starrick, who controls both London's industry and the criminal underworld. During this time, two assassin hopefuls, and amongst the last of the dying Brotherhood, twins Jacob and Evie Fry, attempt to loosen the Templars' clutches on the common people by defeating their gangs and sabotaging their Templar-run businesses. Together, the twins build their own syndicate, called the Rooks, enlisting the people of London to fight back. In their fight, Evie runs into Templar David Brewster, who is experimenting on a piece of Eden. Before she assassinates him, he tells her that the Grand Master Starrick knows of a second, more powerful piece of Eden. The first piece of Eden then becomes unstable and explodes, causing Evie to flee. While Jacob is cleaning up the city, Evie learns more about the second piece, known as the Shroud of Eden. Her search takes her to the mansion of Edward Kenway, ex-pirate and assassin. Here she finds a map detailing all the assassin vaults hidden in London and where she must go next. Uncovering the shroud, but losing it to the Templars, Evie and Jacob finally track it to Buckingham Palace, where Starrick is attempting to reseal the shroud and kill all of Britain's heads of church and state. Working together, the twins take down Starrick and return the shroud to the vault. Present day, out of the 18th century and into the new millennium, the once proud bloodline of Altair, Ezio, Edward, and Connor have culminated in Desmond Miles. The year is 2007, and modern-day Templars now run a multinational corporate conglomerate, while former assassin ancestors become deadbeat bartenders. Behind the scenes, the war between the Templar Order and the Assassin Brotherhood rages on, each team vying for the pieces of Eden and to uncover all that the Isu have left behind. Your Assassin's Creed journey begins here with Desmond, but that's a story for another video. Assassin's Creed is a monster of a franchise, and its story is insanely complex. I'm not even getting into any of the historical references with Blackbeard or the numerous people you meet in the orders. And who knows what more Odyssey will reveal. If you like this video, consider subscribing. I'm Sydney with The Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.